Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are full house today, I think. Unbelievably, it's now a year since we started this session together. And if any of you remember, the very first session we had, I said I decided to throw this out into the universe. And if 3 or 4 people came, we'd have a lovely discussion together. I thought it would last a few weeks. And look at us now. So for all the new people who this is your first time, welcome. This is an amazing group of people. It's an amazing space of sharing. And if you're not on our WhatsApp group, then let me know at the end and I'll add you to it. And this is specifically for our Living with Emunah group. But how incredible to be coming together on this very, very important day. Today is Tanit Esther, which is why we don't have our coffee cart. So I'm not waiting for everyone to make their hot drinks. But today is a day in our history where the Jewish people came together to pray. And they were guided by our very own Queen Esther. Queen Esther said to Mordechai, as we will be reading in the Megillah tonight and tomorrow morning, Queen Esther said to Mordechai, it's very nice for you to say, go to the king, go and try and change the decree, go and save the Jewish people, but I need something from you. I need every single one of you to pray. And that's what really Tanis Esther is about. There is so much power to fast. Sorry, she said everyone should fast and pray. That's what today is about, fasting and praying. And tonight we're going to come together and we're going to have a great time and we're going to celebrate and we're going to read the Megillah, we're going to read the story, and we're going to celebrate the fact that we're still here. But I know that there's a really challenging emotions being still here. So the reason that we weren't going to have this class this morning was I was meant to be landing back in Luton at 9:30 this morning, having gone to Israel on Saturday night on Motzei Shabbat, as only Feldmans do. My nephew, Elchonan's sister, had a baby boy. His Brit Milah was in Israel yesterday. And my first cousin got married yesterday evening. Also, the wedding was moved to their home, and my aunt shared the most wonderful wedding, as only Israelis can do. It was beautiful, but really hard not to be there for the simchas. You know, I really, really, really wanted to go. And then I was thinking about those of you who were with us last time, we spoke about this challenge, and I shared it on the group as well. This idea of, you know, saying that Hashem has the power to help me with this. And I want to explain to you where my dilemma was. On Friday, Elchanan had a refundable ticket. So we booked separately because I was going to the wedding before he knew that the Brit was taking place. So I was just going to go. And at that point, you know, I was going to Israel. Things were calm-ish, whatever that means in the current climate. And he would be here to look after the kids. Then we found out that the Brit Milah was on the same day as the wedding. So he booked a ticket, but it was a changeable ticket. So on Friday, he spent quite a few hours changing his ticket, annoyingly, because we had to pay something extra and move the flight to a different time when he needs to go. But okay, it is what it is. And we were discussing between the two of us, am I going to go or not? And it was really sitting heavily with me because I really, really wanted to be there for the simcha, but I also need to be sensible. I don't want to get stuck there. You know, we're going to be learning from the Megillah. I want to be part of that. We're going to be having Purim together. My family's here. And I just felt so unsure of what to do. And I think if I would say this line of Hashem has the power to help me with this, I know it's tiny in comparison to everything else that we want Hashem to help us with right now. I know that really what we want, obviously, is for everyone in Israel to be safe, all innocent people in the world to be safe, for this fighting to end, for peace to reign, for Mashiach to come. There's so many huge things that we want right now. But really what this task, what we set last week and not knowing what was going to unfold, was trying to do something that's personal to me and smaller. Obviously, we want the huge, massive, world-changing things. But how do we say that, you know, Hashem has the power to help me with this? And I think my prayer really was, Hashem, please help me make this decision. It feels too difficult for me to decide. On Friday, do I go or don't I go? By Shabbat morning, we realized that there wasn't a decision to be made anymore. Hashem had the power to make the decision for me. Would I have gone if the airports were still open? I don't know. it felt really, really hard. And I do feel in a way like the task that we all took for ourselves, it felt like, you know what? Hashem had the power to help me with the decision, or even just to take the decision away from me. That was what was weighing heavily on me. Now, that's not to say that, my father went for the wedding. He's out there now. He didn't go to the wedding because it involved driving across Israel while there's missiles falling. Reuven did go to the bris, but not to the wedding. He's been sleeping in his ma'amad, which makes me feel a lot calmer and means he can get some sleep during the night. There are lots of things to worry about. In that small area, I can focus on the fact that Hashem helped me with that one thing that was really playing on my mind, and actually helped clear my mind so that I can focus on what really matters, right? Whether I do or don't get on an aeroplane on Saturday night wasn't the be all and end all. What really matters is what our people are going through at the moment. But for me, in a very personal way, that helped me to be able to connect to Hashem on something that was troubling me. Is there anyone else who would want to share with us from either, if you were here last time, something that you came across during the week, or just to share that it was something you did? You don't need to share the personal side of it. Was anyone able to try to come up with this kind of message during the week at all that, Hashem has, I'm going to, just for those who weren't here, I'm going to recap. It was ideas like Hashem has the power to help me pass my test. Hashem has the power to send me whatever money I need. There's lots of different examples like that. Is there anyone who wants to share something that they felt this week, or even just to raise your hand if you were able to connect to this idea at all?
I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but there was something I've been nagging Alan about for weeks. And actually on Wednesday, he said, yeah, let's do it.
And in your head, were you thinking, if Hashem wants it to happen, it's going to happen?
Decision needed to be made. He wouldn't make it. And I kept saying, I need some help in getting him to do it. And he did finally do it.
You heard it here first. If you want someone to do something for you, speak to the boss. Did you want to say, yeah?
When I left here last week, I was thinking about what you were saying. And then I was thinking on Shabbat, and I like my candles. I always say a prayer and I ask Hashem for different things. Every Friday night, I thought, why is it different during the week? Why can't it sounded weird to me when you said ask Hashem, but then I thought, I do this every Friday night. Shabbat, I ask, pray, I speak to my mum, my dad, and I say a prayer for people. So I did during the week. And as it happens, I did feel a bit silly saying it loudly, but I did. And because I had to ask for help for something, and I got a positive response. So I thought, do it on Friday night, why can't I do it during the week? What's the difference?
So there's definitely something when you stand in front of your candle, isn't there? But I just want to be clear that I also find it sometimes awkward to kind of just talk to God. It feels unnatural until you get into the habit of doing it. Yeah. And I wonder, the more that we try to do this, the more that we can kind of just connect to that idea of just talk to Hashem. So it is weird because if you're talking to someone who's not there, but people do speak, like you say, to your parents, even if they're not here anymore, because we feel them inside of us. And I think it's the same idea. Like, you can talk to Hashem. It's hard to get our heads around, but until you try it, and that's what, again, that title, we said, faith it till you make it. Like, okay, so don't take my word for it. Try it. Try it a few times and feel a bit weird with it. That's okay. And I think that's really, really important, that idea of it doesn't necessarily feel so natural. Was there anyone who spoke about the fact that Hashem has the power to help me with something specific and didn't see it being sorted out? Because I want to make it clear that this isn't like, if you say this idea, then Hashem's going to sort out all your problems and everything's going to be fine. Very often we could think to ourselves, if Hashem wanted to, he could sort this out. But it could be that he's not going to. He doesn't want to, right? I mean, if we think about what's going on with Iran and Israel and the world right now, if Hashem wanted it to stop this second, could it? Could it? Does Hashem have the power to stop it all this second? Does he? What do we think?
Well, I thought he does.
Yeah. Either we're going to say that Hashem has power to do absolutely anything, or we're going to say that we have a limited God. And we think that, I mean, we know that God can do absolutely anything. Is he going to stop all the fighting right this second? I don't know. When you go on your phone after our class and you check up the news, I'm assuming you're not going to see that all wars finished, the shofar, maybe that noise actually was the shofar blow, right? Mashiach's coming, we're all going to Israel and there's peace. Maybe, I mean, that's what we're meant to wait every day. But even if it doesn't happen, the point isn't to say Hashem has the power to do anything so that Hashem does that thing, whatever the small or big or whatever thing we want him to do. The point of saying Hashem has the power to do anything is actually because it's important for me to know that if he wanted to, he could. Then we've got a whole question of why isn't he? And that's all to do with not understanding God's plan necessarily.
I don't think that Hashem has the power like that to switch off. Because he's given us free will. It's man who fights. It's not Hashem who fights. And therefore it's the man to give that message over to Hashem and then take it themselves with free will to stop this.
Excellent. So Rocky's quite right, is that we live in a world, and it's important, this is something that actually I've been learning more about, and it's important to clarify as well. There's different opinions, but the most mainstream opinion is God created a world with free will, which means every person can make their own choice. So therefore, within that world of choice, people can do terrible things. So exactly, like people can fight wars, people can kill each other, people can want to do terror. The way that God put us right now in this world is that he doesn't split the sea in front of our eyes and, give us the Torah with thunder and lightning and very clearly that we can see God. That's not the existence we live in now, because we're in the post-temple time. Could he switch that? Of course he could. He could do anything. But right now, you're quite right. The way the world is running is based on people and their free will. So you're correct. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the power to. If God wanted to, he could say, yes, everyone has free will, but I've decided right now, this second, Mashiach's coming. So even though everyone has free will, I'm going to bring this massive miracle into the world. Most of the time, that's not how the world works, right? Most of the time, when people send ballistic missiles, they attack people and there's damage. And that's really, really tough. That's most of the time what we see. But God's will, so everything is within God's will. God's will is to allow us to have free will. So I agree with you, Rocky, that's right. Okay, I want to just share with you. So we're going to move on a little bit to talking about Purim. But even though we don't, like I said, even though we don't have coffee and tea today, today is sponsored for a really special occasion, and that Linda and Paul are going to be celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary and also Paul's 75th birthday. And they've shared that we are grateful to Hashem for guiding us through the years and allowing us so many wonderful family moments. And please God, in good health and happiness, you should continue to share wonderful, wonderful times, not just with your family, but with your community as well, because we want to be part of your simchas. So it's really special today to be able to celebrate the important things in life. And I think that that's what heading into Purim is going to be about. So I want to share a few ideas about specifically the 4 mitzvot of Purim. So I mentioned already to you, today is a very important day of prayer and of fasting. Tomorrow is also, or tonight and tomorrow are really also important day to pray. Purim was the day when all the miracles took place. And it's a bit difficult because it's a very busy day. It's not like Yom Kippur. Interestingly, if you listen to the word, Yom Kippur has the word Purim in Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a day, Yom, a day, Kippur, like Purim, right? So what our sages teach us is the highs that you can reach on Purim could be even greater than what you can on Yom Kippur. Why? There's lots of different reasons, but one of the amazing things about Yom Kippur, especially if you come to Shul all day, it's very easy to stay focused and connected and spiritual. And most people at the end of Yom Kippur, yes, you're hungry and you're turning pages near the end, but you leave Shul and you're on this, like, especially if you come back for Ne'ilah, right? It's the most incredible high. Yom Kippur, you walk out and it's like, and I know we even have, like, yes, okay, there's the meal afterwards, but there's not even a rush to get home for that necessarily. You know, you can have a cup of water here in Shul, and it's just this sense of like, wow, we're like angels on that day. And then there's Purim. And on Purim, you can go to work, you can drive a car. There's Leah spoke at the Lunch and Learn, for those of you who are here, about the mitzvah of drinking on Purim, which is one of the ones I find more challenging. But there are lots of things to do on Purim. So we know you need to listen to the Megillah tonight and tomorrow, right? Twice you need to listen to the Megillah. Then there's an idea of the Purim Suda, the Mishteh of Purim. So tomorrow morning, and for those who would like to join us in our home, there's going to be a bagel breakfast. If you want, that can count as your Mishteh. So as long as you wash for your bagels, you can make hamotzi, that can count as your Mishteh. Ideally, before sunset, which is, I think, around 5-ish, you should be having a proper, again, wash, sit-down meal to celebrate Purim. If you ever dare to venture to my part of the world where I grew up, which is Hendon and Golders Green on Purim afternoon, lots of people have suddahs, and then there's lots of people who go around collecting money, because there's an idea on Purim, anyone who asks you for a donation, you should give. Don't think about how all this works. Can I afford it? Is the cause genuine? Just give. And our boys go around collecting for different charities. Normally they're schools, different charities, and they go to house after house after house where these sudas are gathered. So these are big Purim feasts. In fact, our Purim meal was always, growing up, was always bigger than Seder night. You know, more people, more going on. There was lots of people, and they do clever. Shlomo said his legs were hurting him because he's been practicing his dance for his spiel. They go spieling, it's called. They go around and they do acts. And actually, Shlomo said to me, he wanted to know if he went round bushy with his friends, does he think tomorrow night, do I think he could collect lots of money here? I said, I think you'll do better up in Henson. Not because people in bushy aren't generous, but I just think that I'm not sure that everyone will know what you're doing and understand it. So now I've told you all, I'll give him all your addresses to come to. But, you know, they do a song and they do a dance, and it's so clever, and they really put a lot into it, and they can go around for hours doing the same thing again and again and again at each home. Has anyone been to a Purim Suda like this ever? Yeah, a few of you had. It is unbelievable. So that's one of the other mitzvot. Then we have Mishlach Manot, which means giving 2 food items, so 2 different things, to at least one person on Purim. Okay, so that's on Purim morning. So tomorrow morning is when you do the mitzvah to give at least 2 food items. If you come to our home on Purim morning, you could take a bagel and a hamantashen and put it on a plate and give it to a friend, and that can count as well as your Mishlach Manot. Obviously, if you want to do more than that, that's lovely as well. And then the final one is Matanot Le'evyonim, which is gifts to people who are poor. The idea is to give enough to feed 2 people. So we say about a proper meal, so they could have that for their Purim meal. So in today's value, it's probably, we say 2 times 18 pounds. So 18 is a lovely number always because it stands for Chai. So 36 pounds. There is a QR code, there's a donation link. Everyone, if you can, should really give that as well, either tonight or tomorrow. That's part of the mitzvah. So when I was thinking about this class, I came across something from a lady called Rita Inspired. Some of you might have heard of her. She's on Instagram. And what she's done is she's actually given a deeper understanding of these mitzvot to help us connect to them more deeply. So I wanted to read those with you. So the first one she spoke about is the Purim feast. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov teaches, happiness is not a result of miracles. It is what creates them. The Purim feast isn't just about eating. It's about choosing joy while life still feels unfinished. When we sit together, sing, laugh, and celebrate, we're not ignoring reality, we are answering it. We are saying, darkness will not define us, Uncertainty will not take our voice. Hope does not wait for perfect conditions. Even when nothing looks different yet, we celebrate because we believe in the happy ending before we see it. And maybe the miracle begins when we choose light while still standing in the dark. And that belief, it's what brings the miracles. I think this really resonated with me thinking about, I don't know what Purim's going to look like in Israel this year. Lots can happen. Purim in Jerusalem is a Tuesday night, Wednesday. Lots can happen in Israel. Who knows? But at the moment that they're not talking about, it's not looking likely. It's looking likely that they're going to be in their shelters, in their homes, not lots going on. I don't know, who knows? But isn't that interesting that we're still going to celebrate Purim, especially this year when it's, Iran, Persia that's attacking the Jewish people. Especially this year, we're going to celebrate Purim. And for us who aren't under missile threat, we need to do it even more for the Jews of Israel, because they're not going to, I don't know if they're all going to be able to hear the Megillah. So if you don't normally come to the Megillah this year, you're going to come to the Megillah. And if you don't normally come in the night and the day, this year it's early, so you can go to work afterwards as well. But this year you're going to do both. You're going to make sure you're going to do extra Purim this year, because I'm not sure in Israel that they're going to be able to do it. I saw quite a funny comedian posted something. They said, if they would have known that they're going to end up eating all their mishloach manot, they would have got nash that they like, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to deliver it to anyone. I don't know what they're going to be able to do in Israel this year, but we're going to do it. We're going to do Purim on steroids this year, because we can, and we need to do it for all of them as well. So it's in the actual Megillah that Esther requested that the Jews of Shushan should have an extra day to be able to fight our enemies. So the rest of the Persian Empire kept the 14th of Adar, which is tonight and tomorrow, and then Shushan kept the 15th. So because Shushan had this special date, Shushan Purim is when they keep it. So then they made a rule that also would include Jerusalem. So any walled city at that time would keep Shushan Purim. There might be some other cities that were also walled at that time that would also keep the second day. I'm not sure if anyone, do you know? Yeah, so I'm not sure if there are any like European cities that also keep. I'm not sure how that works, but Shushan, it's an extra day that Esther and Mordechai asked so that they could have another day to fight against their enemies. Okay, the next idea again from Rita inspired, Matanot le'evyonim, gifts to the poor. The Chafetz Chaim, who lived in the 1930s, teaches, if you want Hashem's kindness, show kindness to his children. On Purim, we give without hesitation, without judgment, without shame. Haman's power came from one accusation. We were divided. You'll see it when you follow in the Megillah tonight. It says that the Jewish people were spread out and scattered amongst all the empire, right? The worst thing we can do, the biggest gift we can give to our enemies, is to fight amongst ourselves and to be divided. On Purim, we break that decree. We notice who is missing. We reach beyond ourselves. We make room at the table, because when one Jew turns to another and says, your pain is not yours alone, something inside all of us is healed. On Purim, we do not give. We restore belonging. I want to just read you something beautiful that I often share things from someone called Michali Kaplan, who focuses on the beauty of our people. And this is what she posted yesterday. She's in Bet Shemesh. It was an unbearably heavy day here in Bet Shemesh. A direct missile strike took precious lives and left many others wounded. My heart is broken for those who were hurt, for the families whose worlds were turned upside down, for the precious lives we've lost for our entire nation. And yet, as I stand in a line that stretches an hour and a half at a blood drive for the injured, I feel something else too. I feel an overwhelmed sense of gratitude to Hashem for this very line, overwhelmed with love for our extraordinary people, overwhelmed with the privilege of belonging to a nation that may appear to be strangers, but are in truth brothers and sisters, ready without hesitation to show up for one another in any way we can. The third mitzvah of Mishloach Manot, sending food gifts to our friends. Rabbi Ari Ben Susan, who was the faith it till you make it, that's his, and it might be his brother actually, teaches, when the Jewish people are united, no force in the world can harm them. Haman understood this. And if you remember, we shared from the hostages, they knew this. Hamas talk about this. When the Jewish people are divided, that's when they can attack them. Hamas knows this. Haman understood this. That is why he sought to divide us, because a fractured people is vulnerable, but a connected people is protected. Mishloach manot is not about food. It closes the space between hearts. It reminds us we belong to one another. It returns us to one body, one people. Our unity is the shield no enemy can pierce. And finally, Megillat Esther. Rabbi Avigdor Miller, who was Elchonan's childhood rabbi, teaches that Hashem runs the world in a way that allows us to find him when we look. The Megillah is the only book in Tanakh where Hashem's name isn't mentioned once, and yet he is everywhere. Esther was an orphan girl. Mordechai was just a man. A sleepless night was just a coincidence, until it wasn't. The Megillah reveals a quiet truth. The turning points of a life rarely look dramatic when they begin. They look ordinary. They look delayed, until one day you realize you were being led. Hidden does not mean he left. It means he is holding you where you cannot see. Purim isn't just a story. It's a blueprint. We celebrate even before certainty. We search for Hashem in the hidden. We care in ways that restore belonging. We draw closer, and a people is protected. As the Baal Shem Tov taught, light enters when we open a way for it. And this is how miracles begin. So we're literally in the days of miracles right now. And it's difficult because there's tragedy and we are suffering as a people and we're going through a hard time. And all of those feelings are important and all of those feelings are okay. One of the main messages, which we've been talking about again and again, and it's a year we've been speaking through these messages, but one of the main messages, our superpower, is our people, loving our people. And when we hear about the line to donate blood in Israel, it's so heartwarming to see how our people are there for each other. But I also want to share how incredible this group is. You know, when we say the blessing of Shehachiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh, that God's kept us alive and sustained us and brought us all together to this time. How incredible that for a year, and even for those of you that this is your first session, but for a year we've been coming together to try to strengthen each other, to try to find meaning, to try to be there for each other. And the email that I'm going to read you out is one example of the incredible people that we sit in this room with. We sit amongst greatness. It's not my words, it's someone from our group. And unbelievable to see how all of us have changed and grown through this journey together and are continuing to, right? We've not sorted it. We've not worked it all out. We don't have all the answers. We're still worried, but we're working on it. We're trying to connect to Hashem. I want to reflect on the talk we had with Yehudis 2 weeks ago. She spoke a lot about security, and that resonated deeply with me. I follow the rise of anti-Semitism and misinformation closely on social media. I'm also a warrior. When you're an anxious person, people often tell you to relax or find calm. But I've come to realize that anxiety isn't always about calm. It's about safety. When you feel unsafe, your body reacts. Only when you feel safe can you begin to feel calm. The safety and security of the Jewish people, both existentially and practically, worries me, as I think it worries many of us. People hold very different views about the current climate. Some say this is no different from other times in history. We've always lived with hate. Others are more optimistic, believing social media simply magnifies the problem and doesn't reflect the silent majority. Some feel people have their head in the sand and that far more needs to be done to counter misinformation and hostility. And there are those who quietly wonder whether the UK is heading in a direction that might make Aliyah a serious consideration in the coming years. However we see it, I think there's a shared sense that it's not an easy time to be a Jew in the UK. Then again, has there ever been an easy time? So many of our festivals carry the same themes. Think of Purim, right? Attempted destruction and survival. Sometimes I find myself wondering, is our whole story defined by people wanting to destroy us? Yehudis also spoke about the physical symptoms of anxiety, the racing heart, clammy hands, dry mouth. I experience these often. I'm going to share something deeply personal, and I hope it doesn't come across as too strange. I used to brace myself and fight those sensations, but fighting only released more adrenaline and fed the anxiety and symptoms further. Lately, I've been trying something different. When the fear rises, I say to it, I know you, and you know me. I am here to protect you, and you are here to protect me. It's a way of embracing the fear and accepting it rather than battling it all the time. It struck me deeply when Yehudis used almost those exact same words during the session. So I will know you, and you will know me. She meant it in the context of us participating and answering her questions. But for me, those words have become a mantra. After the session, I shared the following story with her. A few weeks after October the 7th, when tensions were high, I was driving through Hendon late one evening. I saw a young man dressed in black, hood up, standing near a wall that I thought might belong to a synagogue. The traffic lights were green, but I stopped briefly and asked my friend to take a picture so we could see what he was doing. It was dark. The road was quiet. Suddenly, a car pulled up beside me. My heart began to race. I assumed I was about to be shouted at for blocking the road. But when I turned, I saw a frum couple. Our eyes met across the two cars. They asked, "Is everything okay?" I apologized and said I thought I'd seen someone suspicious and wondered if there was a shul there. They replied that it was their shul. In that brief moment, when we looked at each other, there was an understanding that needed no explanation. Relief washed over me, relief that I wasn't about to be berated, that I didn't need to justify myself, that we simply knew. We were strangers, yet there was a shared vigilance, a shared instinct to protect. I know you and you know me, and I'd say it's not strangers, it's family. In the aftermath of October the 7th, the trauma, the media storm, the twisting of truth, the endless arguments, that short moment felt like the eye of the storm. Words can't fully express the connection. They were observant and from, a world away from me, and yet in that instant, we were the exact same Jewish people, connected by a generational knowing, a shared inheritance of both vulnerability and strength. I read the news, I hear the debates, the phone-ins, the arguments. It often feels as though we are constantly being asked to justify ourselves, our existence, our rights, our identity. And yet, sometimes words feel insufficient. I'm always listening to the radio, hoping someone will explain the situation, how we feel. But the words never quite hit the way that I wish they would. Yehudit asked us to close our eyes and connect to ourselves, to prayer, to Hashem. Do you feel it? She asked. It reminded me that beyond the noise of our thoughts, there is another place. Anxiety lives in the mind, but faith lives deeper in that quieter place beyond constant thinking. Yehudis spoke of the moment she felt fear of the dark and suddenly knew God was here. It calmed her instantly. It was a knowing, so much deeper than thought, so comforting it gave her resilience for life. In these moments when we feel consumed with fear, especially at night, it is difficult to quiet the mind and lean into the faith. The homework this week encourages us to start trying to find that knowing that Yehudis felt. Anxiety wants certainty and predictability to feel safe. The other night, I tried to think of that thing of that things that are certain. There isn't much. Tomorrow will be Friday. The sun will rise, but those feel intellectual. The one certainty that brought me comfort was that Shabbat was coming, not because I could prove it, not because it was on a calendar, but because I knew I would feel different on Shabbat. There is a shift in the rhythm of the day, a Shabbat feeling, whatever your level of observance. I find such comfort when someone says Good Shabbos, even someone I don't know. There is something in that greeting that feels like recognition, like we are stepping into the same space. It comes back again to that feeling. I know you, and you know me. Yehudis also spoke about music on Friday night, how a melody can transcend words and land straight in the soul. When we sing, we can simply connect to ourselves, to others, to Hashem. That feeling of music, a certain melody, is powerful and again gives us a shared sense of knowing one another. It brings me back to those words I say to my anxiety. I know you and you know me. And I find myself wondering, can I say those words in prayer? Can I say them to Hashem? Is it presumptuous to say, I know you? Or is that what faith really is? Can I lean into the belief that Hashem is loving, present, one, and say, I know you, with confidence? And what about, I will protect you and you'll protect me? That feels even more uncomfortable. How can we mere humans protect an all-powerful God? This idea reminded me of when we discussed the words of Omer Shem Tov, when he talked to God in captivity as if he were a companion. He said, nobody ever asked God how he is doing, so I started there. God, how are you? How is your day? Are you okay? Do you need anything from me? Maybe protection does go both ways. A mutual care, a relationship where we check in and offer what we can. I heard Yehudis compared being born Jewish to having £10 million in the bank, a vast inheritance we choose how to engage with. It struck me deeply. Judaism is a gift, a responsibility. When we defend and protect Jewish life, when we protect our heritage, perhaps we are protecting something holy that we have been entrusted with. I pray every night. I feel ashamed that I don't fully understand the Siddur. I say Shema, but often pray in English. I repeat the same single line of a psalm again and again. Some nights my prayers feel loving. Other nights they feel angry, resentful, desperate, or empty. Should I wait until I'm in a better mood to pray? Or is honesty itself a form of relationship? Perhaps Hashem already knows. Perhaps the knowing goes both ways. I know you and you know me. I'm here to protect you and you are here to protect me. Maybe these words are our bridge, not just to our fears, but to each other, and maybe even to Hashem. I'm thinking about our homework this week. It comes back to observing, not testing. I'm trying not to test, but to notice when I say the words we have been given. When we consciously notice all we are grateful for, we start to notice more as our attention shifts. The same is true of bringing God into our minds in everything we do. We're reminding ourselves of his presence. Right now, the world feels heavy, but what sustains me is that knowing, the quiet recognition between us as Jews, the shared glance, a shared song or melody, or a stranger who says Good Shabbos. Even in this group, I may not know everyone's names, but sometimes eye contact is enough. I know you and you know me. And in that knowing, I find safety and maybe, perhaps, calm. As I said, we have greatness in our midst. Every one of you who shares the way that they're feeling in a vulnerable way. But I think this message to me is stronger than anything any Rebbetzen can tell you. You know, to want to have that sort of relationship with Hashem, even if you're not there yet, but to be able to say, I know you and you know me. That really is, you know, last week I touched on the idea that we're going to be talking more, not just about the theory, like you heard us explain what's in our brain, but we're also going to be figuring out how to put it into our hearts. We're going to go from just talking about what God is, faith, and actually trying to put it into practice, which is bitochen. And I got lots of feedback that people were very, very nervous that our group's suddenly shifting and changing. It's not. We're just growing. This is the natural space that we're moving into. Of course, it's important to intellectually try to understand what God means in our lives. But now we're actually going to say it's not about just the intellectual. We need to be able to feel that. We need that to feel, we need to be able to feel safer, to be able to feel that we're being protected, that we're in a better space. It's not just about intellectually understanding something or not understanding it. It's about taking all these really fascinating questions, but trying to see how can I now bring that into my life. So last week, as I said to you, the task was about saying Hashem has the power to help me with this, right? And you can hear how so many of you have shared, Hashem has the power to help me with this. Having that conversation with Hashem, just trying to speak to him, and it feels really bizarre and it feels really awkward. Some people find it easier to pick up a siddur because then at least you're saying something or there's a words in front of you. If it's easier, hold the siddur. If it's easier, say the words of whatever prayer talks to you. But sometimes those words actually get in the way of us just being able to say, Hashem, I want to get to know you better and I want you to know me. I know you know me, but I want you to know me better. And even the lines of you're protecting, I'm here to protect you and you're here to protect me. What does that mean? Can we protect Hashem? If Hashem can do everything and anything, and Hashem's beyond time and space, can we protect Hashem? And I think as was written here so beautifully, actually it's about Hashem has things he wants from us. And doing those things is our way of having that relationship both ways. When Hashem made us and put us in this world, he did so for a purpose, right? Hashem didn't need to create a world. Hashem doesn't need anything. But he created this world with free will, as Rocky explained. He put us here. And when we use our free will to connect to him and to do, we've spoken about 4 mitzvot that you get to do in the next 20, almost starting at 6 o'clock, 24 hours. 4 amazing mitzvot you can do. That's your way of, no, it's not literally protecting God in the same way as, we want God to make sure that the Iron Dome keeps defending us and our soldiers are safe and all these different things that we're asking God to protect us. But it's our way of doing something for Hashem. Because Hashem created the world with that system. He created a world where we're able to give to him. There's so many different things to share. And there's so many different things to be able to think about in terms of Purim. When you're listening to the Megillah, when you're reading the Megillah, pay attention to those words. They are so powerful and they're right now. They apply right now. The idea of things that happened so long ago. So in one of the verses in the 8th chapter of the Megillah, it says, these days shall be remembered and actualized, right? That's the English. I don't have the Hebrew here. But the Chida, who was one of the great sages, said, the word actualized teaches that Purim is not merely a commemoration of the past. Each year on these very days, which is today and tomorrow and the next day, the same spiritual energies that were revealed on the first Purim occur once again. Those same powers are here in the world. We're watching the Jewish people fight against Persia. We're literally watching Haman being destroyed. We're watching history unfold in front of our eyes. Kathy shared with me about Zachor. On Shabbat, we read this Torah obligation of remember what Amalek did. Remember what our enemies did, how they tried to destroy us, how Hamas and Hezbollah and the Iranian regime tried to destroy our people. We will never forget that. And we will fight back because that's what Hashem wants us to do. But for us sitting here in Bushi, how can we do what Hashem wants us to do? Right? When we say, I'm here to protect you and you're here to protect me. When we say protect, we mean I'm here to connect with you. That's all Hashem wants. All Hashem wants for us. from us. Hashem's doing unbelievable miracles to our people. And I know there's such painful tragedies as well, but the incredible miracles that we're living through. I don't have time to read it out now, but someone wrote a list of just since October the 7th, the crazy things that we've seen happening for Israel and for the Jewish people that just don't make any sense. It's 2.5 years. And you just look at one after another. And there's lots of hard things as well. But the protection, the only thing Hashem wants from us who are here, I'm not talking about the soldiers fighting on the front lines. I'm not talking about the pilots. I'm not talking about in Israel where the right thing for them to do is to sit in their shelters. That's what they have to do. What are we meant to do here? All Hashem wants from us is a relationship. And that relationship happens on a Friday night when we light our candles. And that relationship happens when we're kind to each other. And that relationship happens on Purim. And that relationship happens on a regular Thursday, when we can just try and have that relationship with Hashem and we can talk to him. I'm going to try, I can see I've run out of time, but I'm going to try that we should have more time to be able to hear from all of you. Because I think that there's so much that we share, and reading out your messages is so powerful. It's so powerful, and please do keep sending them in. But also to hear from you. I said powerful, yeah? I made it, sorry. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. Sometimes painful as well. Sometimes it's hard stuff, but it's so powerful. But I think it's really important to continue to hear from all of you. So I'm going to stop talking now. And I'd like to hear from you, your reflections over the last few days, your thoughts about Purim coming up, the times that we're living in.
So I can't get myself back to the space that you and somebody else are in. I'm quite honest about it. I can't really bring myself to really work for. I possibly know I should be asking. Of course, there are things I like, so to ask them. So instead, we're looking backwards, and my discussion with Michelle is about what he's already done and how wonderful that was, so that I can focus on real things that have already happened, rather than asking something which is just fine, difficult. If he wants to do whatever it is asked anyway, that's great. And then the next day I'll say thank you very much for doing that. So it's where you're suggesting. I've got a beginner's course. My beginner's course is what he's already done. I know he's done it. That's going to be easy. Just say thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call that a beginner's. I think thank you is an incredible place to be at, to be able to recognize all the small things and big things that God does in our life. That's a big part of having a relationship with someone. The next step, possibly, is to say, well, if I truly believe that God's capable of doing anything, whatever's worrying me, can I send that to him? And what that might mean is saying, a conversation with Hashem could mean, Hashem, I'm not sure what I want right now. You know what's best for me, so please give me. And that's actually a greater level than saying, Hashem, please could you, I'm thinking of what my boy said, please could I have a Lamborghini, yeah? Because maybe a Lamborghini is good for you, maybe it's not, right? Hashem knows. So actually leaving it to him, I think maybe is a higher level even, to say, I don't know what to ask from you, Hashem, but I know that you're going to look after me, and please give me whatever I need. But the saying thank you, these signs you can see on the walls that our wardens have made. Every Amidah, it's just here, you'll see it when you come in. Every Amidah, so 3 times a day, every day we say thank you, Modim. And that's the only prayer when the Chazan repeats the Shemona Esrei, when the Chazan repeats the Amidah, the only blessing that the people listening need to say themselves is the thank you blessing, because no one can say thank you for you. And one of the interesting things that I say when I teach Bat Mitzvah girls and I help them prepare their speech is, the famous line of, Mum and Dad, thank you so much for everything you do. And I always say to them, when you say thank you so much for everything, it doesn't actually mean anything. I think the more specific you can be with a thank you, the more powerful it is. And one of my teachers said to me that when she was 16, and she is not sure if she's a grandma or great grandma now, I'm not sure. But when she was 16, her teacher said to her, every day write down 2 things you're grateful for. And the next day write 2 different things. and she keeps a little piece of paper that she writes them down, and she's never repeated the same thing, because there is always more to say thank you. So I think that's great. I think thanking is a relationship. That's what we're asking for, is the relationship. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Things coming up, not overly religious, but I'm afraid a lot of the next vision should be fulfilled. It's something feel very big because I'm not going to think myself, I'm not brought up with religion to such a level. So I have to be very organised, and sometimes I'm quite organised. I'm sitting here today knowing that I'm feeling right, that these mixtures are supposed to be formed, especially in these difficult times. It creates a fear.
Yes, that's great. And it's always about doing our best. God doesn't want more from us. There are easy ways of fulfilling the mitzvah. So yes, coming here for the Megillah, that bit, there's not really a shortcut to that one. Coming here for the Megillah. But like I said, if you come to our home at 9:30 tomorrow morning, you can do Mishlach Manot and Mishteh all at the same time. Or just whenever you're eating lunch or an early dinner, it just needs to be before nightfall. Just wash rather than having, that makes it a Suda. If you've had some challah, like on Shabbat, we have challah, right? Or matzah or whatever, a roll, whatever it is. So that's how you want to do the Mishteh. But you can do that at breakfast time if needs be. The ideal is in the afternoon, but you can do that in the morning. So if you come and have a bagel and then you gift a bagel to someone else, yeah, then you've done Mishteh and Mishlach Manot. On the high street, they sell ready-made Mishlach Manot if you want to buy one of those, and just give it to a neighbor. It's lovely to anyone. You can knock on your next door neighbor's door and give them, in Bushy, they're likely to have a mezuzah on their door, right? So you give them a Mishlach Manot and wish them happy Purim. That's all that it takes. The last one, which is a donation, it's an online link. Again, at the Megillah, you can come with some cash and there's a box we can collect in. There's also QR codes. We've tried to make it as easy as possible because we know that it can feel overwhelming. What I'm not saying is that if someone doesn't manage to do all four of them, they're a failure or anything's wrong. Everyone does their best. But I know that these aren't necessarily on everyone's radar. And all I'm suggesting is right now, our people are under attack. We can all up our Purim. So whether you normally do one mitzvah and this year you're going to do two, or whether you normally do none and this year you're going to do one, let's all do more. That's my suggestion. But it's never meant to kind of make you feel even more stressed. If you want to know what's stressful is, again, if we move to the world of Golders Green and Hendon, where there's like 70 different themed Mishlach Manot, and they go like really lovely, but all a bit crazy, that you're trying to run around and the traffic is insane, trying to drive around and deliver the Mishlach Manot and trying to get back in time for your Purim Seder. And it is a very, very crazy day. And I think part of the blessing maybe that we can have, because we live here and it's a little bit calmer, is maybe it will be easier for us to tap into that relationship with God that day, just to take 5 minutes to talk to him, because it's a very powerful day and there's a lot that we need to pray for.
Thank you. Can I just start off by thanking you for inspiring us over this last year? I think you've released a lot of good things from people. I think by the crowd here today, they're very taken by it. So I'd just like to start off just to say that to you on behalf of everyone else. This time last week, I thought to myself, I'd better get dressed up for it. So I then worked out what to do. In the end, I found something on Amazon that will make me look very stupid this evening.
We're looking forward.
Then I thought to myself, why do we get dressed up? And it was quite interesting because on last Shabbos, I'm on a rota, and about every 9 weeks I go to Sandhurst, the Jewish cafe, and there's a few of us on this rota within the Shul, and I go there and do a 1 hour Shabbos service, which is a very abbreviated Shabbos service, which is being compiled, and they've got their own siddur, which I think Jeff Hartman inspired, so very good. And then people say to me, well, do you give them a drosha? I said, no, I don't give them a drosha. I said, well, many rabbis and Rebbetzens give drosha. I give them a little. So I I gave them a talk. Why do you get dressed up for Purim? Because, I don't know. One thing leads to another. So it's quite interesting that you talk about horns. If you read the book of the Megillah tonight, it's we get dressed up. I think because it's all an intrigue. Esther was told she mustn't say to the king she's Jewish. Hashem's name is not mentioned in the Megillah. It's all about a charade. That's why I think we get dressed up, and you can play this thing through. But if you actually think about the story, it's a clever little plot, and there's forms all over the place, and you then feel a sense of who was directing everything, and everything becomes very real, and hence the reason I'm looking stupid this evening is to this great story that you're going to hear, and I think it almost says it all.
It's literally about Hashem behind. I think I saw again something funny on social media that the reason that this war had to kind of wait a few years and was so that AI would be at the level that is the unbelievable memes. I don't know if anyone's seen like the Haman's Hashem with Khamenei's face on it. Like it's unbelievable. But we were talking about this idea that what it used to be is you used to dress up as Mordechai or Esther or Haman, and there's a real thing about dressing up like our enemies. A little bit like I guess like the Guy Fawkes kind of idea, but like these are the people who destroyed us, and on Purim we dress up as them because isn't it funny, they try to destroy us and they aren't anymore. And so I was discussing with Elchanan, and we were saying they're going to now need to find Ayatollah costumes like this is, and it sounds like really, or Nazi costumes or KGB and it sounds like really. But one of the amazing things about Purim, and this is connected to the drinking part, which I'm not going to talk really about, but this idea of when you're not focusing on the external and you see that Hashem is actually underneath it all. So that's the idea of this costume. You can dress up as something ridiculous, but underneath what the real person is comes out. And the idea is that Hashem is running the world through the free choice of lots of different people who think that they're in charge. And if you look at world leaders today, as a rule, it's a joke. Look at world leaders. It's crazy who's running the world. It's as if someone's let the kindergarten be in charge. In every country, it's nuts.
That's what I told you.
Thank you. The lunatics are running this side. It's Purim, right? But on Purim, we can look at those people and we can say they're wearing the costume. Hashem's the one running the show.
So in relation to what Paul said, we were supposed to be in Israel yesterday for a month. We had 2 weddings, and that the wedding hopefully will still happen, but the likelihood of us getting there is not going to happen. And I wrote to my cousin and said, Hashem moves the chess pieces in our life. We are just the pawns. And that's true. We have no control over these things. We just hope and pray that they're safe. She wrote back, the bride-to-be wrote back and said, all I wanted was my family to be there, because they immigrated from America, and all the family were going to come from all over the world to be there. She said, that's all I wanted for my wedding, but the most important thing is that she gets married and everything carries on.
And as we've seen before, Hashem can do anything, right? Hashem can do anything. We're watching crazy, miraculous times unfolding before our eyes. Please God, just everyone should be safe. That's all we can continue. And our prayers can really impact that. Thank you everyone so much for being here. See you next.